Look up at the night sky. Countless stars sparkling across the Milky Way. Now here's something surprising. Earth holds even more trees than there are stars in our galaxy. Scientists estimate around 3 trillion trees across the planet, compared to just a few hundred billion stars in the Milky Way. Every time you wander through a forest, you're surrounded by more lights of life than the galaxy could ever hold above your head. Welcome. Relax, get comfortable, and let your mind wander as we take you on a journey through the wonders of our planet. From the deepest oceans to the tallest mountains, from singing deserts to disappearing rivers, Earth is full of astonishing marvels. Sit back, enjoy these fascinating facts, and let them carry you into a calm, awe-filled escape. If you'd like to keep uncovering wonders like these, make sure to subscribe, so each time we set out on a new journey, you'll be right here with us. And speaking of forests, there's one that feels almost like the heartbeat of the planet, the Amazon. People call it the lungs of the earth, and for good reason. It produces astonishing amounts of oxygen. But here's the secret. Most of that oxygen is used up right there, sustaining the endless cycle of plants, animals, and unseen microbes. Still, its role is profound, keeping Earth's climate steady, like the calm rhythm of breath. Over 80% of the ocean remains unexplored, uncharted, and unseen by human eyes. For all our technology, most of our planet's surface is still a mystery. Somewhere deep below are creatures, landscapes, and entire ecosystems we've never met. Earth is still keeping secrets. Every single year, Earth collects about 40,000 tons of cosmic dust from space. Microscopic particles drift through the atmosphere and settle quietly on the ground. Right now, some of that dust might be resting on your windowsill, a tiny gift from distant stars. The Sahara Desert, now the largest hot desert on Earth, wasn't always a sea of sand. Just 6,000 years ago, it was covered in rivers, lakes, and grasslands. Animals roamed there, and people lived off its fertile land. When you look at it today, it's hard to imagine that it once bloomed with green. Beneath the oceans, there are mountain ranges bigger than any on land. The mid-ocean ridge stretches for about 65,000 kilometers, making it the longest mountain chain on Earth. But it's hidden in darkness, where sunlight never reaches, and very few eyes will ever see it. Around the world, lightning strikes Earth nearly 8 million times each day. Each flash lasts for just a fraction of a second, yet together they weave an endless, silent dance of electricity across the skies. Somewhere, right now, a storm is lighting up the night. The Mariana Trench is the deepest part of Earth's oceans. If Mount Everest, the tallest mountain, were placed inside it, the peak would still sit nearly 2 kilometers beneath the waves. It's a place so deep and dark that only a handful of humans have ever seen it directly. Some rocks found on Earth are older than Earth itself. These are meteorites, fragments of space rock that formed over 4.5 billion years ago, before our planet fully took shape. Holding one is like holding a time capsule from before our world even existed. Every moment of every day, Earth is trembling with thousands of tiny earthquakes. They're so small that we never feel them, but they remind us that our planet is alive and constantly shifting beneath our feet and deep in its core. Antarctica, the coldest and most remote continent, holds about 60% of the world's fresh water, locked away as ice. If it were to melt, global sea levels would rise by nearly 60 meters, reshaping coastlines everywhere. For now, it remains frozen, silent, and vast. Earth's magnetic field is slowly shifting. The magnetic North Pole drifts by about 50 kilometers each year, wandering across the Arctic. To us, it's invisible, but it guides compasses, protects us from solar. If Earth were shrunk down to the size of a billiard ball, it would actually be smoother than the ball. The tallest mountains and the deepest trenches, compared to Earth size, are just tiny bumps. From space, our world really is a perfect blue marble. The air we breathe today is ancient. Every breath you take contains molecules that were once exhaled by people thousands of years ago, by animals long extinct, and by forests that no longer exist. Air is recycled endlessly, connecting us all through time. The deepest living roots ever found belong to a wild fig tree in South Africa. Its roots stretch an astonishing 120 meters underground, reaching for hidden water. That's taller than a 40-story building, but buried quietly in the soil. At the heart of our planet lies a hidden world we'll never touch. A solid ball of iron and nickel, spinning quietly about 5,000 kilometers beneath our feet. This inner core is scorching hot as the surface of the sun, yet it's locked away under immense pressure. Even more mysterious, scientists believe it rotates at a slightly different speed than the rest of Earth, like a hidden clock deep inside, ticking silently through the ages. Every drop of water on Earth has been here for billions of years. The glass of water in your hand may have once been part of a drifting cloud above a prehistoric forest, or flowed through the veins of a dinosaur. Water evaporates into the air, falls again as rain, gathers into rivers and seas, and is taken up by plants and animals, including us. Nothing is wasted. It is the same water, endlessly recycled, connecting us across time. Antarctica looks like a frozen desert, but beneath its thick sheet of ice lies a hidden world. More than 400 lakes are trapped in complete darkness, sealed away for millions of years. One of the largest, Lake Vostok, has been cut off from the surface for up to 15 million years. Scientists believe these lakes might hold ancient life forms, surviving in isolation all this time. Entire ecosystems may be waiting in the cold, silent dark. In South Africa's deserts, small plants called lit hops live among the rocks. At first glance, they look exactly like pebbles, round, gray, and unremarkable. But this disguise is their secret to survival. By blending into their rocky surroundings, they avoid being eaten, conserving water in one of the driest environments on Earth. When they bloom, tiny flowers burst out from the cracks of these living stones, as if the desert itself has learned to smile. The ground beneath your feet feels solid and unmoving, but it is slowly on the move. The continents sit on massive slabs of rock that drift over Earth's molten interior, creeping forward at about the same speed your fingernails grow, a few centimeters a year. Over millions of years, this slow dance rearranges the map of the world. Once, all the continents were joined together in a supercontinent called Pangaea. Millions of years from now, they will merge again in new, unimaginable shapes. High above the Amazon rainforest, invisible rivers flow through the air. These atmospheric rivers carry more water vapor than the mighty Amazon River itself. Rising heat from the forest pulls moisture into the atmosphere, where winds carry it across South America, feeding rainfall hundreds of kilometers away. In a way, the forest creates its own weather, recycling water not just for itself, but for entire regions beyond its borders. When a volcano erupts, the earth doesn't just roar with fire and smoke. It sometimes creates its own lightning storms. Clouds of ash and rock particles collide violently, building up static electricity until brilliant flashes of lightning tear through the sky above the eruption. For a brief moment, it looks as if earth and sky are colliding, with fire from below and lightning from above, creating a natural fireworks show of raw power. Deep in the mountains of California stands a tree known as Methuselah. It is a bristlecone pine, twisted and weathered by nearly 5,000 years of life. It was already ancient when the Great Pyramids of Egypt were young. It has survived storms, droughts, fires, and the rise and fall of countless human civilizations. To stand before it is to stand before living time itself, a reminder of resilience, patience, and quiet endurance. Earth is not just warmed by the sun, it also glows with its own hidden heat. Deep below the crust, radioactive elements like uranium and thorium decay slowly, releasing energy. This warmth fuels volcanic eruptions, drives plate tectonics, and keeps the core liquid and alive. Without this quiet inner fire, our planet might have frozen long ago. We live on a world that glows gently from within. On certain nights, in certain seas, the ocean itself begins to glow. This is caused by bioluminescent plankton, tiny organisms that emit a blue-green light when disturbed. Waves that crash on the shore shimmer as if filled with stars, and footsteps in the sand may sparkle with each step. For those who see it, it feels like walking along the edge of a dream, as though the night sky has fallen into the sea. In Venezuela, water tumbles down from the edge of a towering cliff called Ollantaytambo. This is Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall on Earth, almost a kilometer in height. The drop is so immense that much of the water turns into mist long before it reaches the ground, drifting away in the wind. It looks as though the clouds themselves are falling back to Earth in slow motion. Hundreds of millions of years ago, Earth looked very different. Before trees existed, strange, towering fungi called prototaxites grew as high as 8 meters tall. They stood like alien pillars on the landscape, dominating a world still waiting for forests to appear. Imagine walking across ancient Earth. No trees, no flowers, only vast carpets of moss and these silent, giant fungi looming like guardians of a forgotten time. In Bolivia lies the Sala de Uyuni, the largest salt flat in the world. Stretching for over 10,000 square kilometers, it is a gleaming white desert. After rain, it transforms into a giant mirror, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it's hard to tell where Earth ends and heaven begins. Travelers say walking across it feels like walking among the clouds. In the icy waters of the Arctic swims the Greenland shark, one of the slowest creatures in the sea, and one of the oldest. These sharks can live for more than 400 years, making them the longest living vertebrates on Earth. Some alive today were already swimming through the oceans before the first European settlers arrived. They drift through the darkness of the deep, carrying centuries within them. The oceans of Earth contain unimaginable riches. Dissolved in their waters is an estimated 20 million tons of gold. Spread so thinly, it is almost impossible to collect, but it means every drop of seawater carries a trace of treasure. If it could be gathered, there would be enough gold to coat the entire surface of our planet in a thin, glittering layer. In a way, Earth itself is already wearing a hidden crown. Earth orbits the sun in what scientists call the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right for liquid water and life. A little closer, and oceans would boil. A little farther, and the world would freeze. We live in a rare, delicate balance, suspended in the sweet spot of space. A day on Earth hasn't always been 24 hours. Billions of years ago, Earth spun much faster, and a day lasted only about 6 hours. Over time, the moon's pull has slowed our rotation, stretching the day longer and longer. Even now, our days are slowly growing by a fraction of a second every century. In deserts around the world, some sand dunes can sing. When the sand shifts and slides, it creates deep, booming sounds like the hum of an enormous drum. Travelers say it feels like the Earth itself is speaking in a low, mysterious voice. The water that covers most of our planet may not have come from Earth at all. Some scientists believe it arrived billions of years ago, delivered by icy comets and asteroids crashing into the young planet. That means every drop we drink may have once traveled across the solar system. Once every few years, the Atacama Desert in Chile, one of the driest places on Earth, bursts into a sea of colorful flowers. Seeds lying dormant in the sand spring to life after rare rains, covering the barren land with waves of pink, purple, and white blossoms. The deepest cave on Earth, known as the Variovkina Cave in Georgia, plunges more than 2 kilometers into the ground. Descending into it feels like traveling into another world, a place of endless darkness, silence, and hidden rivers running through the stone. When charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere, the sky lights up with waves of green, purple, and red. These are the auroras, the northern and southern lights. To see them is to witness Earth's invisible shield made visible, protecting us with a show of beauty. In Death Valley, there are stones that seem to move by themselves, leaving trails across the desert floor. For decades, it was a mystery, until scientists discovered that thin sheets of ice, pushed by the wind, gently glide the rocks along. It is Earth's slow, patient art. After powerful earthquakes, the entire planet can vibrate like a bell for days. The shock waves travel through Earth's interior, echoing faintly across the globe until they fade away into silence. On the coast of Spain, beneath the sea, lies a seagrass meadow estimated to be more than 100,000 years old. It has quietly grown and spread for longer than human civilization has existed. In Venezuela, over Lake Maracaibo, there is a storm that never truly ends. Almost every night of the year, for hours on end, lightning flashes across the sky, sometimes thousands of bolts in a single night. It is known as the everlasting storm. In some places, animals have been known to fall from the sky during storms. Fish, frogs, and even small crustaceans can be swept up by waterspouts and carried for miles before raining down on towns and villages below. Off the coast of Belize lies the Great Blue Hole, a giant, perfectly round sinkhole in the ocean, over 300 meters across and 120 meters deep. From above, it looks like a portal into another world, a deep circle of midnight blue in the turquoise sea. Beneath the Sahara Desert lies a vast underground aquifer, a hidden sea of fresh water larger than many surface rivers. Though the desert looks dry and lifeless, water still flows quietly beneath the sands. The reason we have seasons is because Earth is tilted on its axis by about 23 degrees. Without that tilt, we would have no winter, no summer, only endless sameness. Our world leans just enough to give us variety, balance, and change. In China, there's a place called the Stone Forest, where tall limestone pillars rise like trees. Formed over millions of years by erosion, it looks like a petrified woodland, a forest of stone frozen in time. Near Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, ocean currents create the illusion of a massive waterfall beneath the sea. Sand and silt tumble down the ocean floor in such a way that, from above, it looks like water itself is falling into the depths. Every winter in Harbin, China, entire cities are carved from blocks of ice. Towers, bridges, and castles glow with colored lights, turning frozen water into art. For a short time each year, the city becomes a shimmering kingdom of ice and light. In ancient rocks in Canada, scientists found drops of water sealed away for nearly 2 billion years. It is the oldest known water on Earth, resting silently beneath the surface since before multicellular life had even evolved. Some trees can talk to each other. Through underground fungal networks, they share nutrients and chemical signals. Older trees can send resources to younger ones, almost like a forest family connected beneath the soil. Lake Nyos CO2 cloud. In Cameroon lies Lake Nyos, an unassuming body of water with a deadly secret. Beneath its surface, massive amounts of carbon dioxide are trapped, dissolved in the depths by volcanic activity below. On rare occasions, this gas can suddenly erupt upward, creating an invisible cloud that spills over the lake's edges. In 1986, one such event suffocated over 1,700 people and countless animals in a single night, with no warning. It is one of the strangest natural disasters on Earth. A lake that can kill not with waves, but with a silent, unseen breath. Today, scientists have installed venting systems to reduce the danger, but Lake Nyos remains a chilling reminder of Earth's hidden and unpredictable power. Most rivers flow toward the ocean, but the Okavango River in Africa chooses a different fate. It winds through Angola, Namibia, and Botswana, only to end in the middle of the desert. Instead of reaching the sea, its waters spread into a lush inland delta, forming one of the greatest wildlife sanctuaries on Earth. Here, elephants bathe, lions hunt, and rare birds thrive, all sustained by a river that eventually vanishes into the dry air. It is a disappearing act of nature, transforming a barren desert into a seasonal paradise, before evaporating into nothingness. The Okavango reminds us that not all journeys end where we expect. Some end by creating life in the most unlikely places. High in the Peruvian Andes lies Vinicunca, better known as Rainbow Mountain. Its slopes appear painted by the hand of an artist. Streaks of crimson, saffron, turquoise, and violet stretch across the ridges. But these dazzling colors are not man-made. They were formed by layers of minerals and sediments deposited over millions of years, exposed by tectonic shifts and erosion. The mountain had been hidden beneath ice until only a few decades ago, when melting glaciers revealed its colors to the world. To see it is to witness Earth's geological history laid bare, each stripe telling a chapter of time, like the pages of a rainbow-colored book carved into stone. High above the Himalayas, a rare optical illusion sometimes dances across the sky, known as a glory. It looks like a perfect rainbow halo encircling the shadow of your own head, projected onto the clouds below you. Climbers describe it as if the heavens themselves are framing their silhouette in radiant light. What makes it even more surreal is that this effect can only be seen from high altitudes, where the sun shines directly behind you. The shadow becomes a sort of ghostly double, ringed in ethereal colors. For many, witnessing it feels less like science and more like stepping into a spiritual vision, as if the mountain itself has acknowledged their presence. Deep in Venezuela lies Mount Roraima, a towering flat-topped mountain that inspired stories of lost worlds and forgotten civilizations. Its sheer cliffs rise like fortress walls, making the plateau nearly inaccessible. At the top, the landscape looks alien, strange rock formations carved by centuries of erosion, rare plants that exist nowhere else, and perpetual mist that cloaks the summit in mystery. The isolation of Roraima has allowed unique ecosystems to thrive undisturbed, almost as if nature preserved a time capsule from another age. Some explorers say walking on its plateau feels like standing on an island in the clouds, cut off from the rest of Earth. On the frozen lakes of Siberia, winter transforms water into a strange and dangerous artwork. Methane bubbles trapped beneath the ice form glowing white orbs stacked in frozen columns. They look like floating pearls suspended in glass, but they are deadly. If the ice breaks and the methane escapes, a single spark could ignite the gas, unleashing an explosive blaze. Locals have long known to avoid disturbing these frozen fields, but for scientists and photographers, they are an irresistible sight. Danger disguised as beauty, reminding us how fragile the line is between wonder and hazard. In the Namib Desert of Africa, vast circles of bare earth, called fairy circles, the otherwise grassy landscape. Their origins puzzled scientists for years, inspiring legends among local tribes who believed they were footprints of gods or marks left by spirits. Recent studies suggest they may form due to termite activity or the way plants compete for scarce water. Yet the mystery is not fully solved. The sight of these perfectly round scars, repeating across the land in strange patterns, makes the desert look less like a barren wasteland and more like an artist's canvas. In Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, hidden beneath the jungle, lie thousands of sinkholes called cenotes. These natural wells, filled with clear blue water, were sacred to the ancient Maya, who believed they were gateways to the underworld. Today, they are places of wonder where shafts of sunlight pierce the surface and illuminate underwater caves decorated with stalactites. Swimming in a cenote feels like entering a forgotten world, one that connects the living to myths and gods of the past. Each one carries a sense of reverence, as if you are trespassing in a place meant for spirits. In Norway, during winter, waterfalls sometimes freeze mid-cascade, turning rushing water into glittering ice sculptures. Yet hidden beneath the frozen crust, the water still flows, creating eerie creaks and groans as the ice shifts. Climbers are drawn to these icy cathedrals, scaling walls of blue ice that look almost supernatural. Standing at the base of such a frozen waterfall feels like staring at time itself, suspended in motion, captured in a single shimmering moment before continuing its eternal descent. In Japan, Lake Natron is home to a bizarre phenomenon where flamingos gather in massive numbers to breed. The shallow waters contain high levels of soda and salt, which would be lethal to most creatures, but flamingos thrive here. Their legs adapted to walk through caustic water, and their stomachs can handle the alkaline food sources within. What's eerie is that the lake has the power to calcify animals that die in its waters, preserving them in almost stone-like forms. The combination of beauty and death makes it one of the strangest natural spectacles on Earth. In Canada's forests, there are glowing mushrooms that emit a soft green light. This natural bioluminescence, known as foxfire, has been recorded since ancient times when travelers used it to light their way through the woods. The glow comes from a chemical reaction inside the fungi, but for those who stumble upon it, it feels like something out of a fantasy tale. Trees alive with hidden lanterns, the forest floor lit from within by life itself. In Antarctica, blood-red water pours from a crack in a glacier, staining the surrounding ice in crimson. It looks like the ice itself is bleeding. For years, scientists puzzled over this eerie sight until they discovered that the water is rich in iron, which oxidizes and turns red upon contact with the air. Still, the image of a glacier weeping blood has captured imaginations worldwide. To stand before it is to feel as if Earth is showing us one of its most haunting and surreal secrets. In Scotland, a small cave known as Fingal's Cave resonates with an almost musical echo. Its interior walls are formed by hexagonal basalt columns, created by ancient volcanic activity, which give the cave extraordinary acoustics. When waves crash inside, the sound becomes a haunting symphony, filling the air with natural music. For centuries, poets, artists, and musicians have been inspired by this place, which seems less like a geological formation and more like a cathedral built by the sea itself. In Tanzania, Lake Natron transforms into a surreal red color during certain seasons. High temperatures and high salt concentrations allow a type of algae to thrive, producing a red pigment that stains the entire lake. The result is both beautiful and deadly. The lake can reach temperatures hot enough to burn skin, and its waters are caustic to most life. Yet flamingos and some fish flourish here, adding to the paradox. It's a place where beauty hides danger, and danger sustains life. In New Zealand, the Waitomo Caves glow like a galaxy underground. Thousands of glowworms attach themselves to the cave ceiling, emitting a blue-green light that transforms the dark cavern into something resembling a night sky. Visitors who drift through the caves by boat often describe the experience as sailing beneath a second universe, where stars hang just above your head. It's not only one of Earth's most enchanting natural phenomena, but also one that reminds us of how life finds ways to create beauty in the darkest of places. In Iceland, geysers erupt with a force that shakes the ground, shooting columns of boiling water high into the air. Strákur, one of the most famous, erupts every few minutes, delighting visitors with its explosive energy. Watching it is like witnessing the heartbeat of the Earth itself, an unstoppable surge of pressure from deep underground bursting into the open air. The anticipation before each eruption builds suspense, and when it finally bursts forth, it's both terrifying and exhilarating, a reminder of the power sleeping beneath our feet. In Australia, a place called Lake Hillier stuns visitors with its bubblegum pink color. Unlike other colorful lakes that change shades with conditions, Lake Hillier stays brilliantly pink year-round. Scientists believe it comes from unique algae and bacteria that thrive in its salty waters, producing pigments that dye the lake. The sight of it, especially when viewed from above, looks so unnatural that it seems like Earth decided to paint with neon. Against the backdrop of the surrounding green forest and deep blue ocean, the lake glows like a jewel dropped into the landscape. In the American Southwest, strange waves of stone ripple across the desert in a place aptly called the Wave. Millions of years of wind and water erosion carved the sandstone into flowing patterns that look like frozen liquid. Walking through it feels like entering a painting, where every curve and line seems too perfect to be natural. Because the rock is fragile, only a small number of visitors are allowed each day, making it a rare and almost sacred experience to step into this surreal geological masterpiece. In Greenland, massive icebergs break away from glaciers and drift into the ocean, some towering as tall as skyscrapers. Their surfaces gleam with shades of white and blue, but what's most breathtaking is that nearly 90% of their bulk hides beneath the water, unseen. These floating giants can even carry pockets of ancient air trapped for tens of thousands of years, a time capsule from Earth's distant past. Seeing one up close is both humbling and terrifying, as though you were standing beside a sleeping giant made of frozen time. In Madagascar, a stone forest known as Tsingy de Bemaraha rises from the earth. Sharp limestone spires stretch skyward, forming a labyrinth of jagged peaks and deep canyons. From above, it looks like a sea of stone needles, impenetrable and alien. Yet hidden among the rocks are unique plants and animals that have adapted to this harsh environment. Exploring it feels like venturing into another world, where every step must be cautious and every shadow hides secrets. It is both beautiful and forbidding, a reminder of how diverse and extreme Earth's landscapes can be. In parts of the Sahara, mysterious sounds rumble across the dunes, often described as the desert singing. This booming sound occurs when dry sand avalanches down a slope, producing a low-frequency hum that can be heard for miles. Ancient travelers thought it was the voice of spirits or even gods whispering from beneath the sand. Modern science has shown it's caused by grains rubbing together in just the right conditions, but knowing the explanation doesn't make it any less eerie. Standing in a desert and hearing the earth itself sing feels like being part of an ancient ritual written into the land. In the Arctic tundra, during summer, the ground seems to breathe. The soil swells and contracts, creating patches of land that rise and fall like a living creature. These pingo formations are caused by ice trapped underground, which expands and shifts the earth above it. For those who encounter them, it feels like the landscape itself has a heartbeat. In a place where life is scarce and silence dominates, this pulsing ground is a surreal reminder that even frozen wilderness is full of hidden energy. In Costa Rica, each year thousands of sea turtles return to the exact same beaches where they were born to lay their eggs. This synchronized event, called arrabada, turns the shoreline into a living carpet of moving shells. Under the moonlight, waves of turtles crawl ashore, dig nests, and cover their eggs before retreating to the sea. The mystery lies in how they navigate back to the same stretch of sand after decades in the open ocean. Watching it unfold feels like witnessing an ancient pact between animal and earth, written long before humans ever arrived. In northern China, a section of the Yellow River freezes during winter, but the current beneath the ice continues to surge. The result is massive slabs of ice that collide and pile up in chaotic formations, sometimes stacking stories high. Locals call it ice jamming, and it transforms the river into a frozen battlefield of crushing slabs and echoing cracks. Standing nearby, you hear the deep groans and thunderous crashes as the river fights against its icy prison. It's both violent and mesmerizing, raw nature in constant struggle. In Iceland, volcanic eruptions sometimes create new islands almost overnight. In 1963, the island of Surtsey was born from the sea in a violent eruption that lasted for years. What makes it extraordinary is that scientists decided to leave it untouched, a living laboratory to watch life colonize from nothing. From bare black rock, mosses, insects, birds, and eventually plants and animals slowly claim the land. Today, it stands as a rare glimpse into how ecosystems begin, as if Earth allowed us to peek at the very process of creation. In the Amazon, there are patches of soil called terra preta that are unusually fertile compared to the surrounding poor rainforest soil. For centuries, their origin was a mystery, until researchers discovered they were created by ancient people who enriched the earth with charcoal, bones, and organic waste. Even after thousands of years, the soil remains rich, able to support abundant crops. It's a natural phenomenon, but one shaped by forgotten human hands, evidence of how people once worked in harmony with the land to create something that lasts beyond memory. In Mexico, the Cave of Crystals hides some of the largest crystals ever discovered, with some reaching over 30 feet long. The cavern glows with towering beams of selenite, so large that they look like something from science fiction. But entering this natural wonder is nearly impossible for long. Temperatures soar above 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and humidity makes it deadly without protective gear. Few people have seen it in person, making it one of Earth's most inaccessible yet breathtaking treasures, like a hidden palace of crystal buried in darkness. In Turkey, Pamukkale appears as cascading white terraces, almost like frozen waterfalls. These are made of travertine, a mineral left behind by hot springs rich in calcium. Over thousands of years, the flowing water built these surreal, gleaming steps. Visitors who bathe in the warm pools say the experience feels like stepping into a natural spa created by the earth itself. From a distance, Pamukkale looks like a snowy mountain, but up close, it reveals itself as a sculpted wonder shaped drop by drop. In Kenya's Rift Valley, a strange lake sometimes splits in two. Lake Ol Bolasat, under rare conditions, can shrink dramatically, leaving parts of its bed exposed as if the water simply vanished. Scientists say it's due to underground channels draining the lake, but the sudden transformation can feel like a disappearing act. To the local communities, the lake is sacred, and its vanishing is seen as both a warning and a mystery, as if the land itself were giving signals we do not yet understand. In Oman, a rare desert rose forms beneath the sand. These aren't flowers, but crystals of gypsum shaped by evaporating water into petal-like clusters. Some grow as large as dinner plates, perfectly mimicking roses carved in stone. Digging one from the desert feels like discovering nature's jewelry box, where minerals arrange themselves into delicate art. Their fragile beauty lasts for centuries, a hidden treasure crafted silently under the weight of sand. In Ethiopia's Danakil Depression, the land looks more like an alien planet than Earth. Acidic pools bubble in neon greens and yellows. Steam rises from geothermal vents, and salt flats stretch endlessly. Temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. Yet despite its hostility, microbes thrive here, feeding scientists' curiosity about life's ability to endure extremes. Walking through it feels less like exploring Earth, and more like stepping onto a distant, hostile world painted in impossible colors. In Hawaii, lava sometimes flows directly into the ocean, sending plumes of steam skyward. The clash of fire and water creates hissing clouds, and exploding rock as molten earth meets the sea. It's a violent, mesmerizing display of creation in action, land literally being born before your eyes. The smell of sulfur, the roar of the waves, and the glow of molten rock combine into an overwhelming sensory experience, a reminder of how alive our planet truly is. In Russia's Lake Baikal, the world's deepest freshwater lake, the ice forms stunning turquoise shards during winter. Cracks in the thick ice push blocks upward, creating jagged fields of glass-like fragments that gleam in the sunlight. The effect is dazzling, as though the lake shattered into crystals and then froze mid-explosion. Beneath the surface lies ancient water, some of it millions of years old, making the lake not just beautiful, but a time capsule of Earth's history. In the American Midwest, supercells, the most dangerous type of thunderstorm, sometimes tower miles into the sky, forming monstrous clouds shaped like anvils or swirling domes. Their sheer scale is intimidating, dwarfing the land beneath them. Inside, tornadoes, hail, and lightning can brew, but from a safe distance, the sight is awe-inspiring. Watching a supercell roll across the plains feels like seeing Earth raise its voice, a reminder of nature's raw and unstoppable force. In the Namib Desert, strange circular patches known as fairy circles, the barren landscape, stretching for miles. Scientists have debated for decades whether they're caused by termites engineering the soil or by plants competing for scarce water. Either way, the effect is mesmerizing. Polka dots of bare earth surrounded by tufts of green, looking like an alien artist painted the desert floor. In Iceland, lakes and rivers sometimes suddenly boil to life when underground geothermal vents release steam and hot water. What looks like an ordinary body of water can transform into a steaming cauldron, filling the air with mist and the smell of minerals. Standing nearby feels like straddling two worlds, one calm and peaceful, the other fierce and fiery, just beneath the surface. In Siberia, giant craters have mysteriously appeared in the frozen tundra, some as large as a football field. Scientists believe they're formed by explosive bursts of methane gas trapped under melting permafrost, but the exact process is still debated. These sudden yawning holes are unsettling reminders of how Earth's climate shifts can literally reshape the land overnight. Every winter in Lake Baikal, the world's deepest freshwater lake, enormous ice sheets fracture into shards as clear as glass. They jut out of the frozen surface like turquoise blades, catching the light in ways that make them look sculpted by a master artist. Standing among them feels like walking through a crystal kingdom, with the frozen silence amplifying their magic. Near Tanzania's Lake Natron, animals that die in its waters become preserved as eerie, statue-like figures. The lake's highly alkaline chemistry calcifies their bodies, giving them a stony appearance. It's both haunting and strangely beautiful, a reminder that even in death, nature has ways of creating art from the cycle of life. The lowest exposed point on Earth's surface is the Dead Sea Depression, lying more than 400 meters below sea level. To stand on its shores is to be lower than anywhere else on land, surrounded by golden desert cliffs and shimmering salt flats. The air here feels heavy, the water dense with minerals so buoyant you can float effortlessly. This place is both a scientific marvel and a spiritual landmark, a reminder that Earth's extremes aren't only in its heights, but also in its depths. Beneath the hills of Kentucky stretches Mammoth Cave, the longest cave system on Earth. Over 640 kilometers of passageways have been mapped, but explorers believe there is much more still hidden. Inside, whole underground worlds exist, rivers flowing in total darkness, echoing chambers the size of cathedrals, and fragile ecosystems where creatures have evolved without eyes. Walking through its twisting tunnels feels like stepping into another planet, one where Earth hides secrets as vast as any mountain above. Off the coast of Australia lies the Great Barrier Reef, the largest living structure on our planet. Built by billions of tiny coral polyps over millions of years, it stretches for 2,300 kilometers and can even be seen from space. Beneath its surface is a kaleidoscope of life. Turtles gliding through coral gardens, schools of fish shimmering like liquid silver, and sharks patrolling its edges. It is both beautiful and fragile, a reminder that life can build wonders greater than any city humans have ever created. 4. In the ancient Canadian Shield, geologists discovered rocks dating back almost 4 billion years. These silent stones formed when Earth itself was still young, before forests, before animals, before oceans had fully settled. To touch one is to touch the deep memory of our planet, a fragment of time that has survived fire, ice, and the endless reshaping of continents. They're the closest thing Earth has to a diary of its earliest days. In Utah's Fish Lake National Forest grows Pando, a colony of quaking aspens that appear as a forest, but are actually one single organism. Underground, every tree trunk is connected by a massive root system, making it the heaviest and oldest living being known on Earth. Pando may be more than 80,000 years old, surviving ice ages, fires, and human history, all while standing quietly as a grove of trembling leaves. It is nature's quiet giant, not a creature, but an entire forest beating with one hidden heart. On the border of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo lies Lake Kivu, a place of rare beauty, but also hidden danger. Beneath its calm surface are enormous reserves of carbon dioxide and methane gas, trapped by the pressure of deep water. Scientists warn that one day, these gases could erupt violently in an event called a limnic explosion, releasing deadly clouds across the land and threatening millions of people who live nearby. It is a reminder that even the most peaceful waters can hide terrifying power. The village of Oymyakon in Siberia is known as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. In winter, temperatures can plunge below -60 degrees Celsius, freezing eyelashes and turning the air itself into mist with each breath. Cars must be kept running so their engines don't freeze, and yet life goes on. Children still walk to school, farmers tend their animals, and families gather in warmth to share food. Oymyakon is proof of human resilience, showing how people can carve out a life even in Earth's harshest cold. Between Greenland and Iceland lies the Denmark Strait, home to the largest waterfall on Earth, but it flows underwater. Here, cold, dense water from the Arctic plunges beneath warmer Atlantic water, dropping a staggering 3.5 kilometers, 3 times the height of Angel Falls. Invisible to the eye, it is a river beneath the sea, endlessly reshaping ocean currents and influencing climates thousands of kilometers away. It is one of Earth's most powerful forces, hidden in plain sight. Deep in the Peruvian Amazon, hidden by jungle, flows the Pishka, known as the Boiling River. Fed by geothermal energy, its waters can reach over 90 degrees Celsius, hot enough to scald flesh or cook animals that fall in. Birds that land on its surface are sometimes killed instantly by the heat. For local communities, the river is sacred, a place of legend and respect. Scientists see it as a reminder of how fire still pulses through the veins of our planet, even in the heart of the rainforest. On the frozen slopes of Antarctica, katabatic winds race down from the high interior toward the coast, reaching speeds of over 320 kilometers per hour. These are the fastest surface winds ever recorded on Earth, strong enough to flip vehicles, tear apart research stations, and shape the ice itself. In the silence of the Antarctic desert, these winds are a constant, roaring presence, invisible rivers of air that remind us how restless and powerful our atmosphere can be. High in Chile's Elqui Valley, the desert air is so dry and clear that it reveals the heavens with breathtaking clarity. Astronomers say standing beneath its skies feels like standing inside a breathing dome of stars. The Milky Way arches so brightly overhead that shadows are cast by starlight alone. It is here that some of the world's most advanced telescopes are built, searching for other worlds. Yet even without instruments, the view is enough to remind us of how small we are, standing under an endless sky. Mauna Loa in Hawaii is the largest volcano on Earth, rising more than 10 kilometers from its base on the ocean floor. Though it doesn't look as tall as Everest from sea level, its true height makes it the tallest mountain on Earth when measured from root to peak. Covering half of Hawaii's Big Island, Mauna Loa is so massive that its sheer weight bends Earth's crust beneath it. Despite its size, it remains active, reminding us that Earth is still building and reshaping itself, one eruption at a time. And that's a journey through 100 of the most incredible and serene wonders of our planet. From quiet forests whispering beneath the soil to oceans that glow softly under the sun, Earth is full of calm, gentle marvels that move at their own rhythm. Let your mind wander through these stories. Let your imagination drift among these wonders. And let the quiet beauty of our world help you relax. If you enjoyed this peaceful journey, consider subscribing for more gentle explorations, because there's always more calm, fascinating, and soothing knowledge waiting to guide you into restful sleep. Good night, and may the wonders of the world carry you softly into dreams.
you.